Welcome to Bitcoin Technical Analysis. Today I'm here with Vays from Brave New Coin and George Samman from Semantics.com. Hi George, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I see you have an Ethereum chart that's on the tip of everybody's tongue.
Well, it's the word of the day, so, it's something that we should probably talk about since we had mentioned it, a while back, and then we hadn't really been talking about it much. So, we talked about it back in this zone, which I have in this blue rectangle, which was a zone of, accumulation, as it turned out. And this is a daily chart, and it had been not moving for a very long time, and then it just blew up, and it busted out of that zone and has now gone parabolic. As you can see, the RSI and the MACD are just super overextended, and this reminds me of the move to 500 in Bitcoin that we experienced. At some point very soon, this is going to end, and when it does, it's going to have an epic decline. And I would bet that that probably resolves itself in the next week or so. I also have a 4-hour chart, and this was from around mid-February. So even at this $2 to $2.75 level, you kind of had accumulation again. And even the 4-hour now has gone parabolic as well. It's not as overbought as the daily, but in both zones, you're seeing that this thing is probably something that doesn't have much more room to the upside. Although, you know how these things go, they can keep on running even when you don't think they will anymore. Now I'm going to turn to some more traditional stuff, some currency, and we've had some major moves and a lot to talk about there, but I'll start with China and the yuan onshore versus the yuan offshore. For a long time, the offshore was trading at a premium to the onshore. Well, it's changed again, and now onshore is above the offshore. Onshore is above the offshore, sorry. China is trying to do that to control the shorts offshore and to align the currency as a sign of stability. I don't think it's going to work. As a result, we've seen that in the Bitcoin markets, Bitcoin's been very subdued in recent weeks, and this is one of the reasons that I've looked at in general and said that this relationship has been positive for Bitcoin when offshore has been above onshore. The other thing too is probably with Bitcoin is that people are dumping it into Ether. If you read the Reddit boards, it's kind of going crazy with people talking about that as well. So here's the US dollar yen, and as you can see, this chart has absolutely gone to the downside. Ever since Abe opened his mouth and talked about negative interest rates, this has done the exact opposite. The US dollar has weakened and the yen has strengthened. This is also a risk-off trade as well, and as you've seen the global markets jittery and collapsing, this is typical of what happens then. You see this hammer, kind of small hammer forming here. It's not really one that you would call a bottom traditionally, but you see massively oversold on both ends here. At some point this move has to stop. Where that is, no one knows, but this is, again, is a risk-off trade. Here's the dollar ruble, and I put this up because this isn't seeing as much of a move as a result of the US dollar collapsing. It has had a little bit of relief, but it's still in a big uptrend. Oil is still collapsing, and as you know, the Russian ruble is tied to oil, so that's another reason why the ruble hasn't moved. What you're going to see, though, is that the commodities have decoupled from the dollar in a sense, where the dollar has been going down and commodities have been falling with it. So that's more of a sign of risk off and global fears. So here is a chart of the dollar and the euro. Same business. The euro has strengthened versus the dollar, even though Europe seems to be a mess again, and we'll go into that in a second. But this is all really just unwinding of the dollar trade still, but it hasn't spilled over into the commodities, as I said. And here's the US dollar. It's right at big support at the 200-day moving average. Gotten almost down to an oversold level, not there yet. Can almost see a quadruple bottom forming here. Even, yeah, pretty much a quadruple bottom forming. And if it stays and goes up, well, we'll see. But, Yellen is now put herself in a really bad position where she can't really raise, and the US dollar kind of was rising on anticipation of 4 rate rises this year, which is looking highly unlikely. So dollar weakness may be with us for a while. Here's a chart of the CRB, and this is what I was talking about. This is going back 20 years to 1997. It has hit all-time lows and keeps hitting all-time lows. It broke below this double bottom in 99 and 2002, and has just kept falling. This is not a good sign at all for any kind of rebound in the commodity complex. This chart I had put up here is of the banks, and it's a Deutsche Bank comparison versus every other bank. Deutsche Bank, it's back a year. Deutsche Bank is down 50%. Credit Suisse is down about 48%. Citi is down about the same amount. Bank of America is down about the same amount. Santander, Barclays, and Unicredito, all getting smoked. There's a lot of talk of collapse in the banks, and if they are actually going to be defaulting as a result of the commodities, oil, interest rates, and global fears of a meltdown. The banks are not in a good position right now, and they might need to recapitalize. That's another thing people are worried about. But as you can see, it's an international thing, and these charts kind of remind you of 2008, even though I don't think the situation's anywhere near there, and the central bank authorities are going to do something at some point to stave off the fear that we're seeing in the banks. But right now, it keeps just going down, collapsing. And here is yields. This is a 10-year U.S. Very low. It went down to below 1.6 today. Back up now, but I mean, this is just horror show. The Japanese 10-year yield was negative yesterday and back up today. Went to negative 0.025. It's at 0.022 now. Another complete collapse of yields. Same thing with Germany, down to 0.24 on the 10-year. Everything below this in most international currencies is going negative. U.S. is close to negative in a lot of those areas, but we had that big move up we talked about in a lot of the smaller time frames of the bond as Yellen was talking rate raising, but now that she's backed off and everyone is backing off and we're talking about negative rates, the whole entire interest rate complex has collapsed. And here's the Nikkei, just showing you what happens with negative rates. You think it's going to be really good for the economy, but that was actually the peak in the Japanese Nikkei, and it's just collapsed as well. Obviously oversold, due for a relief bounce at some point, but it just really begs the question, is there a complete crisis in central banking right now, and the ability and confidence of the central banks to get the markets to move in the way that they want them to? And right now the markets are saying they have lost all confidence. And then finally, I just have a chart of the S&P here. This is the S&P daily chart. And I'm showing this because I think that there's going to be a bounce. You're seeing divergences, positive divergences. So right here, we're seeing a lower price, but on the RSI and the MACD, we're seeing higher lows. I think we're going to get a big bounce at some point. The market's looking for some news to bounce on. It hasn't found any yet. Potentially in the coming days, we'll get it. But to me, this is looking like, watch those divergences and see what happens. I think price follows up to the upside. We've held some big areas, and here's a weekly going back to 2011, and as you can see, we're right at major support. 1800 held today, but really this 1814 area is the 200-week moving average, and we've held that. I wouldn't say that you're seeing divergences here, but you can say that you are not seeing lower lows in some of these. The MACD was, but look at the money flow index. Hasn't made a lower low since those September, August lows, and we aren't nearly as oversold on the McClellan oscillator as we were back then. So, we're seeing divergences start to pop up that are something to pay attention to, and that's all I have for today.
Tone, so show us what you've got. It looks like you've got a Bitcoin chart up, and it's good to have you back. I heard you went on vacation a little bit.
Yeah, no, the craziest things always happen in the markets across the board every time I go away somewhere. Yeah, I was just like hiking through the middle of DR for a little while. That was fun. And clearly arguing with some Ethereum people on Twitter at the same time, just killing my Verizon data. There might be more on that in a different video.
Well, just let us know next time you go on vacation. We'll know that's a indicator for volatility.
I'm in Mexico in a week, so for the Anarchapulco, which is a great event. So anyone listening, Google that, Anarchapulco in Acapulco, Mexico. Really, really good event going down over there. All right, let's talk markets. George pulled up that Ethereum chart, and I'm hearing rumors that, I mean, Ethereum is just going insane. I think it's what, $6 today. I mean, I was wrong. I mean, I thought Ethereum was going to be at 0 by now, so it's my target hasn't changed, but the time clearly has. And we're reading all these things about people are dumping all their Bitcoin into Ethereum. I mean, great. I mean, it was great for me, but it's going to end in tears. I just know it. But anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin. The view on Bitcoin hasn't changed at all. My view on Bitcoin has been the same for months. Ever since this unreasonable, unwarranted, exponential rise in Bitcoin, which was terrible. I mean, even if you're a Bitcoin holder, if you're a true Bitcoin holder, you don't want to see that because you know it's irrational. There was no fundamental reason for that to happen. And it crashed right afterwards. And ever since then, we're still trying to recuperate from this. And I don't think we're that close to recuperating from this technically. And now if people are dumping their Bitcoin and putting them into Ethereum, I mean, that's great. That's great because Bitcoin might actually find the bottom. So my bottom for Bitcoin is still in the low 300s. And if it goes to 250, great. If it goes to 200, even better. Bitcoin system is not going to collapse. It's still the only cryptocurrency that does something nothing else does. And as far as, I mean, my opinion is Ethereum still does nothing, and it might be for a while Bitcoin does a lot of things. You can look at my presentations, look at my other videos for that. But it is currently a little overbought. We've been talking about divergences in several previous videos. If anyone's watching this for the first time, I'm just going to go over it real quick. Let me change colors here. I'll use purple. So you have divergence right here where the price closed by the end of the day at a higher high. So you have this green increasing line, but your momentum here and here went down, and the same thing on the MACD. So that happened on the upside. Now, a few months later, we have a similar situation on the downside. You have a price closing here, and then you have a price closing at higher highs, but your momentum on the MACD went down, and on the RSI also went down. Okay, so I'm not even going to draw that one. So your momentum indicators are going down, your price is going up. That's no good. Because of that, I'm looking for additional hits of the oversold RSI condition. So at least one more, maybe two more. So unless Italian banks collapse, which I've been saying for over 6 months, and from what George was saying, Europe is a complete basket case. It's going to be very, very, very bad. But Europeans don't understand Bitcoin. They don't know Bitcoin. And the reason I say this is because last year there were conferences in Europe for Bitcoin and nobody shows up. You go to a conference in Asia, I was in a conference in Korea, 1,000 people. 6 months earlier, I heard there was a conference in France, 50 people showed up. So Bitcoin can actually save them from their socialist nightmare, but they don't get it, so they're going to feel the pain. It's just the way markets work. You can't explain it to people. They have to see it. All right, I don't want to go on too long, but George explained it really, really well. So only the collapse in European banks will push Bitcoin up fundamentally, but from a technical perspective, we're still overbought, and I'm looking for some downside or flat. We can stay at 380, 400 for a few more months, and that could also work off the overbought conditions that we're still in. Okay, let's move on to real markets. And again, it was a very interesting day. The last time we shot this video, last week, we had this candle here. And I will attempt to quote myself from that video where I said, it looks like a classic reversal candle, but 3 or 2 days don't make a trend. And I said this was a shakeout from all those that sold, looking for more downside, as they should have. and this is a shakeout, and we're going lower. And we did. And now, in hindsight, this is clearly a reversal candle. If you check my Twitter, Tone LLT, I tweeted out this candle in real time. It's really risky to try to time reversal, especially when it's high flying. So I took a chance and happened to be right. So let's talk about today. So today we have another candle that looks like a reversal candle. And those that have been watching these for a while know that I've been saying that we need a secondary low. We needed a low to match the low back in January. And I was expecting this low this month or early next month. It's actually happening a little sooner than I expected. And it's way too early. I think it's way too early to call this the secondary low. I think it's possible that there is some more downside in the S&P 500. We can get a little bounce right here, a little bounce 1 or 2 days, and then we'll see. This could be sustained upside, or we might get one more scare. Early on in the year, I said there'll be an early year scare to get everybody bearish, thinking it's the end of the world. It is not the end of the world. It might be the end of Europe as we know it, but it's not the end of the world. The American markets will do amazingly well when Europe eventually realizes what's going on over there, and they still don't. But there could definitely be some more downside in the S&P 500. But things are looking really, really well. I am very bullish on the S&P 500 going into year end, like midterm to long-term S&P 500. And we talked about divergences. So the bottom left, what we have is a little longer-term S&P 500 cash, unlike the futures I've been drawing on. And over here, we had a slight upside back in September, October, and your indicators, momentum, confirmed it that we're ready for a reversal. Then we had 3 lower highs with continuously lower, again, confirmation. So what are we looking for now? We clearly made a lower closing low. And so far, we have divergence. Now, again, this is not a forecasting indicator. This is a lagging indicator. So we need to first reverse. Once the S&P reverses and starts to go up, and the indicators start to go up, what we have is very clear divergence. And I would be very, very bullish the S&P 500. What I feel will happen is we will come down a little bit, and the S&P will probably make maybe a low. Maybe it'll just go under 1800, just to get everyone real either scared that we're never gonna go up again, or real happy that the S&P 500 is gonna go down to 1,000 points. And that's when it reverses and goes to the upside faster than anyone can realize. That's my kind of view on things in general. So I'm kind of just waiting for these indicators to turn. We might have bottomed today. We might have a little more downside, but the downside is small. At this point, I am not looking to short. I am looking to time the bounce. Hopefully, I'll do a better job timing the reversal than previously. All right, that's S&P 500. Let's talk about gold. And gold is really interesting. Man, what a move. Last time, 50-point move. I have it right there. $50 move today in gold. Again, I don't listen to the mainstream channels anymore. I don't care what the talking heads say. I realize that once you're a trader, you're a trader. If you know what you're doing, you don't listen to anything on the mainstream media. I don't listen to gold promoters. I make my own decisions. And last time we shot this video, I believe we were somewhere in this area here. I don't recall it exactly, last week. And I was looking for more upside in gold because I saw it as a safety play with a downside in the S&P 500. And what I said was 1,200 is very possible. I didn't expect it to go higher than that in a week. If we had shot this video Oh, let me see if I can put a triangle in here. Can I do this? Wrong way. Nope, can't do a triangle. But I can just do it with lines. So you had this triangle right here. I love my triangles. And if we had shot this video a few days ago, this would have been, I mean, I missed it. I wasn't even home. I didn't even realize what was happening in gold today until it already happened. But I'm now timing gold to the downside. This is just irrational. Something is lying to you. Gold went insanely up, but the S&P 500 is close to the bottom. So gold should be close to the top. So at this point, I am looking to time S&P to the upside and gold to the downside. Now, how far up can gold go? If you look at the middle chart, this is the longer term gold. I got about, this is the weekly gold. So as you can see, we have closed above a high here, and we closed above a high here, which is impressive. So the next high is around 1307. So let's call it 1300. What we also have is the long-term moving average coming down fairly quickly and is currently at 1345. So I am looking for a top in gold somewhere between 1300 and 1340. That will be my top. I am still bearish gold, intermediate term. I don't believe we bottomed in gold, just like I don't believe the S&P 500 topped. And once gold, I hope the gold promoters are screaming gold is going to 1,000, and I hope everyone is selling their S&P 500 and buying gold, because that tells me once we get into this area, it's going to do this. Let me not draw it too far down. We are also almost overbought. I would love to see this above 70. It is at 68 right now on the RSI. And the MACD is just above 0. And the last time we were above 0 was over here. It's starting to go parabolic. Gold just went parabolic. It's gonna end in tears. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure what's gonna be more painful for people: gold dropping under 1,000 or Ethereum dropping to under $1. Also curious which one is gonna happen first.
So that's going to like 900 area, triple digits.
Gold? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I believe we're going into triple digits in gold, because I think again, Europeans don't see gold. I think there'll be so much pain in Europe. They're gonna start putting their money in the S&P 500. Some of it might go into gold, but a lot of people in Europe have gold, and they're not gonna believe in any paper asset if they're collapsing, and they're gonna have to sell their gold to live on. And gold is kind of useless in today's world. It really is. We have Bitcoin. Bitcoin does what gold used to do. Gold promoters don't realize that yet, which is why I think this is great. This is going to be great for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is an important asset. I'm still not sure where Ethereum is, but Bitcoin is an important asset. All right. Finally, oil. Again, oil. I mean, last week when we talked about oil, we had just made this candle, and it looked like a bullish engulfing, and everything was looking good. I was kind of expecting oil to go back to 35, maybe take a stab at towards 40, or at least towards the retest of the previous breakdown, and then go down, because I believe I also said in last week's video that I don't think oil bottomed for the year. Again, there was just no strength in oil whatsoever. And now we made what looks like a beautiful reversal candle. But again, reversal candles aren't reversal candles until those follow through. Also in oil, once we broke this 30 barrier that I've mentioned several times, I was looking to go long if we broke 30. Had I been watching oil, I probably would have tried to go short when we broke oil again to the downside. I did not. I'm sticking to my option trading. This volatility is just. I'd rather be in options. It's you don't get stopped out as quickly, and I find it easier to trade these kinds of markets with options. But that's a personal preference. again, just like the S&P 500, oil may have bottomed. It may have bottomed temporarily. Honestly, what I would like to see, I like to see a little bit of upside and then a little more downside and maybe reverse from the 25 area and then go up. And probably not go up much. We'll see what happens with oil. Geopolitics and oil will have a lot to do with it. So I'm just watching oil carefully. It's in sync with the S&P 500. There might be a little bounce in both of them over the next few days, maybe a week. I think S&P will probably bottom out next week. Don't hold me to that. I know it's on video. It's hard to say. We'll know if it's a reversal in a day or two. But if anyone is dumping all of their S&P 500 in their 401k, just my opinion, don't. I'm actually looking to reallocate a lot of my retirement stuff into the U.S. stock market. No other, no emerging markets, nothing. U.S. stock market is the way to go. I think it'll be the safe haven in the near future. All right, Theo, any questions?
I know that looks good. Yeah, I think that maybe kind of hard to call a bottom on S&P right now, but we'll see, and probably has a lot to do with the other markets and how afraid everyone gets and how that reacts. And then regarding Europe, your favorite part of the world, here I've got the German 30, the DAX, and I think that's a good representation of what's going on in Europe. And you can see that it's breaking a lot of key levels right now. So it's broke down below 9,000, and that's a pretty big level. 10,000 was broke earlier this year, and so now it's it's headed towards levels that it hasn't touched since 2014. It looks like it's going to head there, with some time. So let's see where this goes. Now, of course, today was a big day, as George pointed out, because Deutsche Bank is part of this German 30, and they lost a whole lot. I think they lost about 50% in share price. So that alone, definitely contributed to the index going down. But you had, a lot of selling the last 2 days in the DAX. All right, over here to Ethereum, and here we've got the Ethereum Bitcoin market, and it looks, you could call that parabolic. And you see this area here where it kind of consolidated. I think that's going to happen again. I don't think it's going to just dump. I think you're going to have to get a period like that again, and then there'll be a decision time whether it goes up. Yeah, you wanted to say something, Tone?
No, I'm just looking
Okay.
at this in amazement. I mean, this is the epitome of irrational behavior, because
markets are irrational, and
because there's no use case for Ethereum. There's no use case for a token for Ethereum. Bitcoin
you could get into
always
that.
had a use case.
Well, that's regardless, it's going up. And
it's going up,
it could keep going up. I don't know how high it's going to get. It could keep going up, but around, okay, so this is a daily candles. Believe it or not, around here is where I was reading on Reddit. I just turned all my Ethereum into Bitcoin, and I was thinking,
the other way.
Oh my God, around here you're doing that? Okay,
the other way. Theo, you said it backwards.
Oh, excuse me. I'm turning all my Bitcoin into Ethereum. Excuse me. Maybe I was thinking you should be turning all your Ethereum into Bitcoin right where those arrows are. But actually, the people were writing the opposite, and they were even encouraging other people to do it on, of course, all altcoins and all penny stocks, stuff like have that. Okay, buy now. But it's just on a level of, I don't know, I just don't, I'm really baffled at it. But hey, maybe I shouldn't be. That's just how humans are. Humans just want the price to go up, and it's the same story again and again.
I always remind people of Aurora coin. Aurora coin hit $100 a coin, and so can Ethereum before.
Yeah, and Litecoin, the Litecoin pump to 49 in 2013 was pretty epic. So, we could see something really crazy like that, but
We could.
let's see. Now here's Bitcoin, and the price has been compressing lately around here, and it's kind of undecided currently, but you do see the daily getting red, and on the short time frames there was a sell-off right before the show started, a few hours before the show started, and it's been kind of hugging the daily cloud here at the bottom right here, and it hasn't really gone up or down. You see it's just total sideways, hugging that cloud. So if it's going to really poke through here at that twist on the daily, I don't know. It does look like it could retrace some, and there's a lot of uncertainty still with the whole block size debate, Bitcoin Classic, and all that. And I'm as tired as you might be of hearing about it, that's going on, and it's creating a little bit of uncertainty. So let's see what happens with that. Okay, and that's all I've got for charts. I want to thank today's sponsors, orderbook.net. There you can trade Bitcoin futures. They've got one ending in March, June, and they also have a daily future you can trade, all those at 3-to-1 leverage. Check out orderbook.net. Also Valturo, where you can trade gold and Bitcoin. Also there, you are trading real physical gold, so it's not a derivative, 100% your property, 100% insured, auditable, and you can trade in very small amounts of 0.001 grams. Also check us out over at bitcoin.com. In the news section, sometimes they will show our video over there and give us a nice write-up. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, World Crypto Network. Give us a thumbs up and all your comments. Thanks a lot.